That's literally how much I love Cassie, is that I'm willing to walk away from somebody that great.
Oh, from 3 women to none, but there were plenty of tears as The Bachelor, Colton Underwood, kicked off part 1 of its live finale Monday night. Colton emotionally dumping Tayshia and Hannah G after he emotionally was jumping the fence. We saw the aftermath of that. Bottom line, Colton admitted he was in love with Cassie and that he planned to go after her after she broke up with him. To break down Monday night's episode, we have Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise alum Wells Adams here. Wells, cheers to you. Thanks for coming in for Roses and Rose Live. Always in the leather jacket and looking cool.
Roses and Rose.
Oh my God, that just made my heart soar. Thank you.
I feel like I need more of this alcohol after last night.
How are you feeling?
I feel like emotionally victimized. I have to be honest with you. I have no idea what happens at the end of this thing, which I know I don't think anyone believes, but it's true. Like, I've really kept blinders on because I like to experience the show like everybody else. And God, do you remember when I was bartending in Paradise and I told Christina, like, I don't understand, like, why are you fighting for someone?
For Dean.
Yeah, for Dean, who's not fighting for you. Like, I don't understand it. And I wanted to do the exact same thing this time.
Was it not a little nuts? And I loved that. So basically, guys, of course, we saw the fence jump scene, and we saw that last week, and then we got the aftermath. And the aftermath was that, like, Colton wasn't really gone for that long, I don't think.
It was the most dramatic walk ever.
He was really, you know, he jumps the fence, he goes out into the darkness, which was kind of scary, and we did find out he had his wallet with him, but no phone, you know, and they're in Portugal. So the team understandably worried, like, they're responsible for Colton and his well-being. They don't know where he is. He's emotional. But it seems like they kind of, like, I don't know, Born Identity'd it, and we're, like, in caravans, tracking him down like spies. They get him. And then he and Chris Harrison have this sit-down the morning after. And I loved that everybody kind of supported Chris for asking the tough question, which was like, dude, what if Cassie's just not that into you?
I know.
That was perfectly savage. And was your mind blown? I couldn't believe it. Colton was so confident. He said, no, I think she loves me.
Yeah.
Even though she had said, I'm not in love with you.
I know. And then they also had that clip of her being like, he wants marriage and kids, and I'm just not that person.
Right.
So I don't know if he has all the facts. I feel horrible for him. But also, like, Sarah and I were watching last night, and we were like, this is the most romantic Bachelor ever. Because, like, he's obviously doing the thing that they don't want him to do, you know? Like, he didn't do 2 fantasy suites.
Right.
He's dumping girls. He's leaving the show for this woman. Like, it's crazy stuff that he's doing. And I actually, like, really commend him. I think it's really beautiful. But also, like, really risky.
Really risky.
Like, hedge your bets.
Well, and what a lot of people are saying is, look, okay, so we found out at the end of the episode he's going to go after Cassie.
Yeah.
But again, she has said, I'm not into him.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, does this, you know, she had also said, I don't know about this process, this is crazy. Does this show of faith by him, like if he shows up and he's like, I left it all behind for you, could that make her take a turn in her mind and realize what feelings she has?
Maybe. I mean, one of her big apprehensions was her family, right? And I bet her dad feels kind of like a jerk right now because, well, like, he sabotaged it the first time, being like, I don't give you my blessing. And then he flies to Portugal to be like, maybe you shouldn't do this. And now this poor kid on national TV is, like, bearing his soul, jumping over fences, and now leaving the show for his daughter. So I wonder if the thing that was holding her back was like, my family's not into this, maybe now her dad's like, ooh, I kind of screwed this one. Ooh. I don't know.
But, you know, he was just trying to be a good dad, too. He's trying to do the right thing. Did you feel like that was, how did you feel about him going to Portugal? Like, was that unfair to Cassie, fair to Cassie?
I thought it was messed up on, like, all accounts, you know? Because I felt like he was getting played a little bit too. It was like, all right, come back over here and really sabotage this thing. And so I really do hope that if there is a way back for them two, then that the father got to see all that and is like, whoa, I completely like misread this situation.
It would be hilarious if he was just finding out about it now.
Yeah, right.
Like he's like watching with all of us like, whoa.
Why didn't you tell me this happened?
Well, I love that you say that Colton was sort of beautifully romantic in what he was doing because he also got criticized for the other breakups last night. And I want to get your thoughts on those. So of course, like we said, Cassie and Colton are done. And then we had to find out what would happen with Colton and the other women. We hadn't even seen Hannah G in last week's episode.
They cut this poor girl out of the entire show. I didn't know she could speak until last night when she was journaling.
I mean, poor Hannah G, she didn't even get a fantasy suite. So Colton
And all she wanted to do was hook up. She kept on being like, just like, insert clip of me hooking up with Colton. And then like they would go to that one scene.
Yes.
I mean, 2 months doing that show, you know, I get a little sexually frustrated.
Well, I mean, they were making out in showers together.
Wow.
They were definitely like, we saw the chemistry between these two. And you had told me when we had you on towards the beginning of the season, here it is. You were like, my boy Colton's type is a beautiful blonde.
Yeah.
And so we saw it. And now what Cassie said during the live portion of the tell-all was that Colton had done to her what Cassie did to him. I mean, what Hannah said. So Colton goes to Hannah.
True.
He breaks up with her, but he says, I thought it was going to be you.
Yeah.
And you still feel like home to me. I mean, to me, I gotta call Colton out on that. That felt harsh. I know he was being honest in his feelings, but at that point, should he have just shut up and broken up with her?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the thing is that that line has worked for him, so he kept on going back to the well for it, but I definitely think he should have been like, hey, listen, you wouldn't want to find out, you know, months later that I told this one girl that I was completely in love with her, and you're kind of a backup plan. But he used the word backup plan a couple times, and I was like, don't say that, just don't say it. Like, glug, 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 glug.
We're drinking to that.
We're drinking to that, yes.
Okay. So knowing Colton, having done Paradise with him, he cried on Paradise. And before he ever started filming Bachelor, I interviewed him at his photo shoot, and I was like, dude, how much are you gonna cry? And he's like, why do people think I cry? Colton cries.
And he also looks like a giant baby, you know?
He's crying. Yes.
He's like big.
He's got this like kind of baby face that's huge, and he's in tears. Were you blown away by how many tears we saw last night? Did this feel par for the course for you? What was your reaction?
You know, I think he's an emotional guy, and I think that's great. Obviously, even to be the Bachelor, I think you need to be that thing. Yeah. There were times, like in Paradise, where I was like, I think these are crocodile tears.
Okay.
I'm not really buying it. I think that the things that the pressures that he's feeling right now are not just Tia, but like just like the optics of this whole thing.
Like performing for the show a little bit.
Not performing, but like just being nervous about how it's all gonna look.
Yeah.
When I watched this, these seem like real tears. Like this seems like he's messed up. And I feel just absolutely broken up for him, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing the right thing, right? Like he found the person that he wants to spend the rest of his life with. It's just not going the right way.
Well, I mean, Chris Harrison called the fence jump the most shocking moment ever. Would you call Colton the most romantic Bachelor ever?
I kinda, yeah. Last night I was just like, oh, this is amazing. He's leaving the freaking show to go chase after this girl who's already been like,
I know.
over it.
We got a lot of kind of behind the curtain moments because Colton had talked to Cassie about like, you know, when all this is over, meaning the show. Then Tayshia says during her breakup that she wants to go away from the cameras. That really surprised me, and I'm also like, guys, you're still mic'd. And then we got this audio, this painful audio.
Wait, but by the way, this was my favorite moment of the evening last night, where somehow Colton figured out a way to dump someone and have them apologize to them.
Oh.
She's like, I'm so sorry. Stop crying.
It was, I mean, most romantic Bachelor ever and maybe saddest Bachelor ever. I don't know.
I know, but then what do you do in that moment? What do you do as Hannah or Tayshia where you're like, well, I'm out. I guess I want to be the Bachelorette. What do I got to do? I want 35 personal trainers coming after me. If like this isn't going to work, then what do I got to say to make this right?
Do you think Hannah and Tayshia were thinking about that in the moment?
I don't think so, but I think in the aftermath they were like, man, probably should have played that a little bit different.
Well, I don't know how you couldn't. I mean, look, at that point, you know you're on TV, so you've got to have some consideration. Let's take a listen to Tayshia's tears.
I don't want to come to that. I don't want to. Oh my God.
door.
like it.
Like, I could stare at that closed door for I don't even know how long.
That poor cameraman's like, well, what do I do now?
I was gonna ask you, I mean, here's the thing. I was sort of surprised that she said, can we get away from the cameras?
Yeah.
And that they were just like, okay. Did that surprise you, knowing the way that production works?
Yeah, well, at that point, he had broken so many, like, quote unquote, rules of the show that I think they were just like, I don't know, we're completely off script, not scripted, but like they were like, we don't know, just do whatever you're gonna do at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Also, they were mic'd up, so it didn't really matter.
Right, and I wonder too, I mean, part of me thought, okay, it's fantasy suites, so maybe they're just like, no matter what, we've got to get the emotional reality of this, and maybe they'll do that behind closed doors, but I was surprised.
I will say this, that I'm really proud of the show for just staying off and being like, this is just how this is gonna go.
Let's let it happen. All right, we'll be back with more from Wells Adams, where we talk about Tayshia and Hannah's sit-downs live. Don't go anywhere.
We've got a dark figure down the road.
Colton Underwood found in Portugal after hopping the infamous fence.
I've been through enough of knowing that I'm not enough for a long time. And every reminder of that just makes me stronger, so I'm okay with it.
On night 1 of The Bachelor's 2-part season finale, we saw the aftermath of Cassie's surprising exit.
I didn't think it was possible for there to be a better connection than what we had. So I don't know what I'm talking about.
So this is like it.
As Colton said 2 painful goodbyes to Tayshia Adams and Hannah Godwin.
I'm saying goodbye to somebody who loves me. I don't know if I'm making the right decision.
He sat down with both women on After the Final Rose, but Hannah G is clearly still struggling with the breakup.
I'm just hoping that I can walk off of this stage with more answers so I can sleep better at night and finally live in the present.
And Hannah seemingly called out Cassie, telling Colton she wouldn't have left him.
I wouldn't have. It was never an option in my mind to not want to be with you.
You have to choose to love somebody, and you have to choose to fight for anybody that you're in a relationship with. I think that's what love is, and that's what being in a relationship is all about.
Although there was still no closure or any update on Colton's current relationship status.
We are back with Roses and Rosé live, and the fabulous Wells Adams here. We've been,
Cheers.
oh my God, it's just, we're so stressed out.
Finish it.
So part 1 of our Bachelor finale, we're continuing to recap it. Tayshia and Hannah, both on the live show.
Yeah.
I was surprised, and we're actually interviewing the beautiful Hannah G live in just a few minutes, you guys, so do not miss it. We will be her first interview after last night's crazy episode. I was so surprised because I felt like on this live show last night, Tayshia was pretty shut down.
Yeah.
And we heard a lot from Hannah, and I sort of thought it would be the reverse just based on what we'd seen all season.
There's a part of me that wonders if Tayshia, once she saw how he like dumped her, that she was like, I'm over it now. You know, like, cause she was like consoling him.
Yeah.
It just seemed like almost unattractive. I think she was like, okay. And also she's obviously been through a bad breakup before.
Yeah.
With a divorce, and I think she was just like, I'm kind of done with it.
Yeah, Tayshia, I mean, when you've gone through marriage and a divorce, obviously you know like what really real heartache is. And maybe for Tayshia, I kind of wondered, there was a point where Chris said, you loved this guy, and she was so quiet.
Yeah.
I almost thought she was gonna say, you know, I'm not sure I did. I mean, people talk about the Bachelor bubble and you know, maybe your feelings get amplified when you're on the show and going through all this, and I wondered if she felt differently in retrospect.
Yeah, and also like watching it back is the biggest like hindsight is 2020 thing for you, because you're just like, what was I thinking?
Really?
You know?
Do you feel that way?
Well, I wonder if that's how she felt about it.
Yeah.
Especially when, you know, in fairness to the girls that were remaining, they don't see those other things that happen, right? Like, none of those women saw him be like, you're the one, Cassie. No matter what happens, this is it.
Yeah.
And then when you watch it back, and Tayshia and Hannah G being like, he did that before we even had our fantasy suite. So he'd made up his mind. So it's almost like a little bit like, all right, screw you. I'm kind of over this. You know?
Yeah, I loved that Hannah said something like, you know, now I'm looking, she kind of defined love for all of us. She said, looking back on it, you know, no, that wasn't what I wanted, and that wasn't love to me, and I deserve a two-way street. And I was like, yes, Hannah G, yes, you do.
Yes.
I tweeted this, and I really meant it. I went from, like, I was sort of watching all season thinking, I see him and Hannah G having this connection, but we're not getting a ton of screen time from them, and like I want to understand more, and who is Hannah G. And at the live finale, we found out who Hannah G was. So I was like, this goddess, that is what G stands for to me. She has come in, and she is like raising this torch. And I even felt like in their breakup, I thought Tayshia consoled Colton way more than Hannah did in the breakup, and Hannah was kind of like taking it all in and shocked, but calling him out a little bit during that. Like she wasn't going to give him the shoulder to cry on the way Tayshia did.
Yeah, and I think that that's like the right, that's the normal response as someone who's been broken up with, right? The Tayshia one kind of surprised me. She was just like, oh, all right, on to the next thing.
I know.
Paradise time, like, you know. Whereas I thought Hannah G was like, no, dude, screw you.
Yeah.
You didn't even give me an opportunity. You didn't even give me one more date. And I get where she's coming from.
All in all, Colton has blindsided a good amount of women this season. I think Kaylin felt blindsided. I think Hannah B did. I think Hannah G did. Like, I think they all felt like, I did not see this coming on any level.
Dude, because he dropped the L-bomb a couple of times, or at least fallen in love to a bunch of women. I don't think that's not a good play. Ben did it, and it didn't work out. You know, I don't think that's the play. I think you need to keep your cards close to your chest for this exact reason. Like, he really hurt a lot of people, which is tough, but the irony is that he's the one that ended up getting hurt, you know?
There's so much hurt. It was so stressful.
So much pain.
So much hurt.
Honestly,
I'm so sorry. We should have given you more. So have you talked to Colton at all lately? Like, how is he now? I mean, we saw him live on the finale last night.
I haven't actually. I saw him, like we did that live show, that
For the premiere.
That premiere thing. And that was the last time I saw him, and Sarah and I were like talking with him afterwards, and I was like, I don't want to know what happens, because I like not knowing. I like watching the show like everyone else. But we were like, but are you happy? And he was like, yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that means, but I was like, good. As long as you're happy, that's all that really matters to me, you know?
And
so
working new and different haircuts with each live that we get. His haircut was much the topic of. I gotta say, I liked last night's haircut better than the Women Tell All hair look.
Yeah, it's just something to make fun of. Right?
Colton took to Instagram actually to address it. He said, with this selfie in the dead of night, it looks like he just jumped the fence again. Just left part 1 of the finale. I love you all so much. Say what you want about the hair. I like it.
I'm a little more offended by the duck lips that he's doing in that picture. There's a lot of...
And did he always have a mustache? Did he have a mustache during the show? His facial hair has been all over the map.
He looks like a villain in some French movie.
Very angular jawline. There might be a filter on this. I feel that they've played with Colton's facial hair a lot to like get away from the baby face look.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, we think so. So tonight, guys, we're gonna see what happens with Colton and Cassie. Let's play a quick clip of Cassie talking about going home.
I'm gonna miss Colton. I'm sad to see it over. But I did make the right choice because I can't be here. Not because I don't care about him a lot, but because, like, I can't make a commitment as soon as Colton. Like, Colton wants a wife and a family and to start a life with someone right now.
Cassie packing her carry-on there. I thought that there might have been a bigger bag. I felt the women didn't have much luggage at all last night. It was shocking. But like you said, packing her bag in this 3D book room.
Yeah.
She seems done to me. What do you think? What could Colton say? What do you picture Colton saying to get her back?
I don't know. Going back to the beginning of the interview, I think that her big apprehension, I assume, is her family and her dad, like, not giving the,
the blessing,
the approval or whatever. And I'm hoping that her dad sees this now and is like, wow, I really called this one wrong. Like, maybe you should rethink this.
We have to wrap here, but guys, follow Wells Adams, of course, on social media. He live Insta stories The Bachelor every week, and it's hilarious. And check out his podcasts on iHeartRadio. Thank you guys so much. We are about to be live with Hannah G in her first interview. Don't go anywhere. ET Live will be right back.